There are a lot of negative headlines around the mall and that segment in the US, and I think that there are two main issues with our mall stock. One is the sheer volume of mall stock we have. If anyone has read anything about malls, one of the biggest headlines is that we just have too much in the US, and the ICSC says we have about 23 square feet per person of shopping centers versus less than 10 in most other developed countries. So there's an issue of potential oversupply or under demolition, as some people will say. The other main issue, which is less talked about, is the mall model itself. So if you look at the average regional mall in the US, you're talking about 50% of the space is department stores, and then 58 to 60% of the inline space, so the remaining space, is apparel. Now the issue is that those are the two slowest growing categories in retail. They're also among the highest for e-commerce growth. So you have a whole retail real estate segment that's dependent on two categories that aren't really growing very quickly, and that puts landlords and owners in a bit of a difficult situation. Now, that doesn't mean that the mall is dead. What I would argue is that mall model, that merchandise model that's over 70 years old, does need to change and needs to adapt to how we're spending today. And in my opinion, that means a lot more emphasis on diversification of retail tenants, so more of a mix of different types of categories of retail, and definitely more of an emphasis on things like service, experience, and restaurants, and the types of tenants that are less vulnerable to e-commerce growth and that can act as real traffic drivers for a center.